Economists were quick to react to President Trump's tariff plan. Our senior economics reporter, Steve Leisman, joins us right now with how the outlook changed dramatically with the stroke of a presidential pen. Steve, good morning.
Good morning, Becky. Yeah, the president's tariff measures were worse than expected and deepened the troubling stagflationary outlook for the U.S. economy. Scott Lincecum of the Cato Institute called the tariffs just totally detached from reality. They are more complex and onerous than I was expecting, he said. Lincecum and others say 40 to 50% tariffs, they're not tariffs. They essentially will shut down trade from those countries. And most had serious issues with how the president appeared to make up the tariff level. He says other countries charge the U.S. And other comments on the outlook. J.P. Morgan says a recession is now likely if these policies are sustained. Pantheon boosted their PCE core inflation outlook by 1.25 percentage points. They reduced their growth by almost a percentage point. Now, here's interesting back and forth on the Fed. Citi says the Fed will cut aggressively. Morgan Stanley removed its June cut and sees the Fed on the sidelines for a protracted period of time.
Nobody knows what's going to happen.
Nobody knows. The Fed doesn't know. On the growth side, Trade Partnership Worldwide estimates tariffs will cost $654 billion in a year, or one of the largest tax increases in U.S. history. They said, quote, with tariffs taking effect immediately, American companies will be on the hook for $1 to $2 billion per day in costs for products that were ordered months ago. Even in smaller trading states like Idaho, for example, businesses could pay an extra $5 million in tariffs. The biggest concern was that the president was said to have completely made up the tariff numbers other countries charge the U.S. He said the U.S. was charging those countries half of what they charge us, but his assertion bore little resemblance to the real tariffs other countries charge, most trade experts said. Instead, the White House used a formula few had seen before based on the trade deficit that caused most to scratch their heads. So this tariff policy looks like it's basically resting on made-up numbers.
Can I ask you about the made-up numbers for a second?
Yeah.
We were talking about the made-up numbers a little bit earlier.
I don't
they're
think
calculated. They're not quite made up, but they get the Trump administration where it wants to be in terms of
right. Well, when you make up the formula, the numbers you come up with are made up.
I don't know whether it's logical.
Nobody's seen this formula before.
Right. If in fact you...
There it is.
There it is.
It's a real formula.
If in fact, Steve, you wanted to come up with a formula,
how would you do it?
How would you do it? That's my question to you.
Country by country.
But they did. Look, they did have a formula. If you look at, talk to a
No, I'm not saying they didn't have a formula.
It's the U.S. trade deficit divided by the gross imports from that country.
My point is
or 10%.
My point is that nobody has seen this formula
or
before.
10%. Nobody, but that's not in the formula.
Nobody has seen it as a way.
Or 10%.
Look.
No, but I will say the traders who are passing this on to me are also saying what a very well-known one. It's absurd and shows a kindergarten-level understanding of international trade.
Right. Imagine that somebody had something that they're the only ones who had it. Say it was a rare earth mineral, and you needed it, and you bought it from them. And let's say you spent $100 billion buying it from them. You would have $1 billion trade deficit with them. They would have no tariffs on you. And, of course, you were taking those rare earth minerals and putting them into computers and value added.
You don't have to look at it that way. So you just got to say we're huge consumers of everything because we're so rich and prosperous. So
trade 34%
trade deficits, by definition, are going to be something.
Among the things that are quite remarkable about the president is this idea of saying that we are being taken advantage of. We're somehow
in some instances we are.
In some instances we are. But look, what about the people that moved all their stuff to Vietnam? Remember when I was reading those USTR comments? They're like, hey, we went to Vietnam because you told us to go to Vietnam.
China. Yeah.
And then they put it on Cambodia. Interestingly, those guys, I don't have that wall back home, which is that great wall with all those tariffs on it.
We can put up something like that.
40 to 50%, according to trade experts, is not a tariff. It's a shutdown. You just don't do it anymore.
Yeah.
So China, 54%. It's the 34 plus the 20. Vietnam was 46%. And these are not the tariffs they charge us. It's not.
You don't do it anymore overnight. Probably not. It's probably going to be a while before they can figure out where to manufacture and do some of these things. There's not the capacity for...
We had somebody on this show, Becky. They said a year for a brownfield, which is an existing plant.
Yeah,
a year and a half to plant it.
3 years for a greenfield.
And then another year to have to.
I hear on factories it's usually 3 to 5 years.
I get that entirely, but what does that mean? You think the companies are just going to stop selling stuff in the United States, or they're going to stop?
Well,
what's Apple?
Let me make one comment here, which is listening, of course, to Phil LeBeau, our expert on. What did he say? He said that the cheaper cars are made overseas. By the way, the cheaper guitars are made overseas.
Cheaper everything's made overseas.
So who gets hit by that? The people who buy the cheaper cars. Let's start there. What does that mean? It means maybe they go to a used car. Maybe they don't buy a car. Maybe they share a ride. What's that?
Used Teslas are cheap.
Apparently, yes.
But they have
Used Tefs are
swastikas
cheap.
carved on the side.
Right. Maybe that guy doesn't get his first guitar when he's 16 and never plays, and we never hear from, Little Richard or something like. I don't know. That's not the kind of
the
thing.
long-term thing, I will just say the long.
Maybe you don't get the avocado.
You have higher wages because there's more manufacturing here, but that is something that takes years and years.
And this
to play
goes
out
to,
if it works.
a
that way.
larger political point,
Yeah.
which is, and I also talked to a number of people on this issue last night. There's a whole number of CEOs, we talk about playing chicken, who are going to sit now and say to themselves, I can hold out longer than Trump can hold out. Not me personally. But there are companies that are going to say,
right.
if I'm going to make the 3 to 5 to 6 year investment in this factory that's not going to even exist for 5 years, what is the prospect that these tariffs are still going to be in effect 5 years from now? That is the fundamental question. And if you don't think, or you think there's even a chance that they won't be, you may just say, you know what, I'll accept what's going on here for a little while because it's not even worth me to bring back the subject.
You see how democracy is good for business? In the sense that a tariff proposal or a tariff plan that went through Congress, that CEO wouldn't have to worry as much about that, right? I talked to a manufacturer who said, I benefit from the tariffs, but I am not expanding my capacity because I don't know if those tariffs will exist.
It might not be on 5 months from now, much less 5 years from
What's that?
It might not be on 5 months from now, much less 5 years from now.
Well, if that's the case, then what was this all about?
Negotiation.
But, Joe, is this the way to do it? I mean, imagine.
That's what he said he was going to do, and he got elected. I don't know.
No. He said these were negotiation tactics.
Right.
Now
and they
they're
still
revenue.
They still might. And now it's fentanyl, and it's now China.
And remember, he put out a tweet that said, we're keeping the Canadian tariffs in place until they become the 51st state.
You can find video of him saying this stuff 30 years ago.
That's true. He's wanted to do this, so that tells you they're not temporary.
They're not negotiations.
Well,
negotiations.
If he gets a better
art of the deal
with the United States, for the United States with other countries.
But how do you start when he says my tariffs are 46%? But for example, Singapore has no tariffs. Switzerland has almost no tariffs. Europe is not 39%. Europe is 4%.
Right, except with this calculation. But Steve, you do need to. Their argument would be would be that you can't quantify all the other protectionist measures that aren't done.
So you sit down. So
you reverse engineer it. You reverse engineer it. That hasn't.
You sit down and you talk to them,
Did that work with NATO?
I don't know. Have we tried? Has Trump sat down with NATO?
Didn't work with a lot of things.
I don't know if that doesn't work.
Well, I mean, I think there's been a lot of prosperity in this country and around the world, and we're talking about capitalism.
Right.
You talk about free markets and what that's done to bring people out of poverty.
Don't point at me.
I'm just saying, this is what it is.
28% of global GDP with 5% of the population. This is an enormously wealthy country.
It is.
The idea that other countries are raping and pillaging us is what the term president used, okay?
That does set us up. That does set us up as a very large country that's not going to care if we're not treated fairly.
That could be true.
It is true.
They send us wine and cheese and Mercedes. That's not rape and pillage. We send them paper in response to that.